This is the half bath on our main floor that guests to our home use, and I have neglected it. I painted it when we first moved in 12 years ago, and I really haven't done much since. It's not terrible. Mostly it's just so basic and doesn't reflect my style at all. I know this may sound strange, but I want it to be a bathroom that people remember. I want it to be beautiful, interesting, and dramatic. I'll be honest, I only have a vague idea of what I want to do in this bathroom. So, how it ends up is going to be a surprise to both you and to me. But I know I'm going to paint, and I know I'm going to use some dark blue paint that I already have. So first I need to clear out the bathroom and get it ready to paint. I love this print that I got at the Habitat Restore, but I don't know if it's going to make it back in here or not. But if it doesn't, I will definitely find another place for it. Yeah, there is really not much that I like about this bathroom except that vintage mirror. And I think I paid $15 for it. I do like this rug, although it is in really bad condition. I don't know if I could take it somewhere and maybe have the edges rebound, or I don't know, maybe there's something that I could do myself. But I paid $25 for it at the Brimfield flea market this past fall. I don't know, I really like the back side too. When I put it back in, I might put it in upside down. Is that weird? I did order a new super cute towel rack from Amazon. So this old black one has got to go. I'm also going to replace the outlet and light switch covers with wood ones that I can paint to match the walls. I'm already thinking that I might replace this mirror with something a little larger. I did not use a primer when I painted these doors the first time, and I don't know why I didn't prime, but obviously that was a mistake that I'm going to fix now. If I can ever get this doorknob off. I'm not planning on putting this towel rack back, so I need to remove these plastic anchors. You don't want to just spackle over it because it will leave a hump that you will notice after you repaint your walls. To remove the plastic anchors, I put a screw in the hole and just barely tighten it, and then use the claw on my hammer to pull it out. Spackle over the holes and let it dry, then sand it smooth before painting over it. I also sanded over the cabinet door edges where the paint was coming off, but I also brushed shellac primer over the door trim to make sure there was strong adhesion with the new paint. Since I'm going to paint the baseboards to match the walls, I applied a coat of the shellac primer to them too. Now, just one more thing and I'll be ready to paint. I love my house, and like most people, it's my biggest investment. So the thought of losing it to a natural disaster like the wildfires in Southern California is so frightening. But I live in Illinois, so geographically speaking, I'm pretty safe. However, I am not safe from losing my home to thieves. What is house stealing? It's when a thief goes online and gets information about you so that they can fairly easily transfer your house title out of your name so that they can use the equity to take out loans, or in some cases, even sell your house out from under you. When was the last time you checked on your title? Probably never, right? And that's what the scammers are counting on. So the best way to protect your home equity is with triple lock protection from Home Title Lock. With triple lock protection, you get number one, 24/7 monitoring of your title. Number two, instant alerts to any suspicious activity. And number three, God forbid, if the worst happens, Home Title Lock will spend up to $1 million to fix the fraud and return your title. To make sure you're not a victim of house stealing, use the link in my description and the code COTTAGE to get a free title history report and a 30-day free trial of triple lock protection.
I want to add a chair rail 4 feet up on the walls. To make it, I bought inexpensive lattice molding. It's lightweight and thin, so it's super easy to attach by yourself using only brad nails. Hold it in place, add a brad nail in the center, then use a level to straighten out each side before adding additional nails. I don't use any adhesive like liquid nails because in the future, if you ever want to take these down, liquid nails will damage the drywall. You'll probably have to replace the sheetrock. Lightly spackle over the nail holes and when it's dry, sand them smooth. I'm using dark blue paint that was left over from a bedroom makeover. It's Dutch Boy's Platinum Plus Paint Plus Primer in Navigation. This is a great paint. I honestly like it better than Sherwin-Williams. I first painted over all the areas where I had applied shellac primer, and then I began rolling the lower half of the walls.
So yesterday I was thinking that I was going to keep the top half in this light blue color that it already is. And I was just going to touch up the spots with paint that I have left over. But when I woke up this morning, I decided, no, I'm just going to go for it. I really want that dark, moody bathroom aesthetic. And so I am just going to take the dark blue all the way up to the crown molding. I like to paint over these spots that I spackled before I go over it with a roller because that spackle absorbs the paint. And so if you don't get a little bit of primer on there, then it'll take several coats to really fully cover them. The one thing that I'm not going to paint is the trim around the door and the door itself. I thought about it, just painting this side, the inside of the bathroom, the dark blue. But I just think that I'm going to get tired of the dark blue at some point, and I would rather not have to repaint the door. Oh, I am really liking that. And I'm going to add some more trim to this bottom portion, but it's just easier to roll the paint on without that trim there, and then I can just come back and paint the trim.
Since this room has no windows, I need to leave the lights in place for now. So I just removed the knobs that hold them in place so I could paint behind the fixtures, and then I placed them back, trying not to touch the paint.
It is so bizarre how our eyes react to color, because when I painted around both of these lights, I swear it got darker in this bathroom. Okay, so now I'm going to paint behind the toilet, and it's really easy when you use one of these small rollers, but I can remember years ago when they didn't have small ones like this, I literally wrapped my toilet with plastic wrap so that I could get the big roller behind it and not get a bunch of paint all over the toilet. I might have to go and look for the little extension rod that you can screw in here. They're just, the ones I have are just wood, and you can just screw it in, and then that way you can reach farther.
I wanted to replace this old radiator vent, but I couldn't find a new one to fit the spot. So I just sanded over it with my orbital sander to remove some of the thick paint, and then I gave it 2 coats of the blue paint that I used on the walls.
Okay, I bought 6 of these that were 8 feet long. I'm not sure what they are called, but if I can figure out what it is, I'll put it on the screen for you. So I cut them in half so that they're 4 feet long. They should be a little longer than I need because the top of the chair rail is at 4 feet. Just gonna line it up here. I'm gonna mark it like that. So I just get the most perfect cut. Okay, I'm gonna start on this wall because I've got to work around the toilet. I'm gonna nail at the top.
Then I make sure the batten is perfectly level before I add any additional brad nails.
I always try to cut it so that it's just a little beyond my lines, because I can always cut it again, but I can't uncut it. It's very time consuming to have to cut each piece individually, but in the long run, you're going to be a lot happier with your end results, because if you cut them all the same length, you're going to find some of them are going to be too long and you're going to have to recut them anyway, and other pieces are going to be too short, and then you're going to have big gaps that you're trying to fill in with your caulk, which will give you a very unprofessional finish.
Before painting, spackle and sand the nail holes and fill in any gaps with caulk. If your boards are snug against the wall, you don't need to caulk the sides of each board. Once you paint the battens, you won't be able to tell, and adding all that extra caulk will make it that much harder to remove the boards in the future. Because the lattice strips I was using were pre-primed, I was able to get full coverage with just one coat of paint. It's obvious the bathroom door was once painted yellow, and it desperately needs a coat of paint. To start, I gave it a good cleaning with liquid sandpaper. I had previously applied shellac primer over the yellow spots, but I didn't think it was necessary to prime the entire door since I was just painting it white again. I used a good cabinet paint that was left over from painting my stair risers. I didn't bother removing the door because it's easy to paint around the hinges and doorknob if you use a good quality angled brush. With the room painted, I was ready to change out the lights installed by the previous owners with lights that better reflect my vintage maximalist style. I thought about buying genuine antique sconces, but I ultimately decided to buy new because the antique ones I was seeing all needed to be rewired for safety. Changing out lights is fairly easy, so if you don't know how, I highly recommend you learn, preferably from a licensed electrician. At first, I thought I would install the wood switch plates and paint them in place, but I quickly changed my mind and took them off so I could do a better job. But I was ready to install the new towel ring and toilet paper holder that I ordered from Amazon. I love that they attach directly to the wall with screws without that weird hidden bracket. Even though I did need to drill holes for plastic anchors to hold the toilet paper holder, I was able to install them in just a few minutes, and they're very secure. If you've watched many of my videos, I'm sure you're not surprised that I chose gold fixtures with flowers and a bird. I ordered one large roll of peel and stick wallpaper, also from Amazon, that I wanted to apply to the ceiling. To make this job as easy as possible, I pre-cut each piece just a few inches longer than I needed, and I made sure to line up the pattern with each consecutive piece before I cut it to the size I needed. I also decided to cover the ceiling front to back, which was a shorter distance because I would have had to cut longer strips if I had hung it side to side. I will never hang peel and stick wallpaper without using Easy Hang spray. Apply it to the wall, or in this case, the ceiling, and then begin adhering your paper. Smooth it out with a wallpaper brush as you gradually peel off the backing. Once the entire piece is adhered, further smooth out the paper with a plastic scraper. Use the edge of the scraper to guide your utility knife along the edges to cut off the excess paper. Finally, use a damp cloth to wipe off any of the Easy Hang spray that was pushed out with the scraper.
Whew, that's one. 5 more to go.
If you've never hung peel and stick wallpaper before, I don't recommend starting with the ceiling. The hardest part was lining up the pattern because while I was trying to match the images perfectly, gravity kept pulling the paper onto my head. However, I wasn't going to let gravity win. You might be wondering why I didn't just use the wallpaper on the walls above the chair rail. And the answer is you wouldn't have seen the wallpaper there because I plan to cover the walls with my thrifted art collection. A few of these pieces were recently thrifted, but some I've had for a while. My goal was to create a very eclectic mix and not worry about arranging or spacing them perfectly. In fact, here I'm demonstrating my not so professional hanging technique of holding my finger on the spot for the nail and then just hammering the nail in. Actually, you'd be surprised. This is more accurate than you might think. But I'm going to use the painter's tape trick to hang a small shelf. I placed the tape across the back of the shelf first and marked on the tape where the nails should go. Then I drew a level line on the wall and placed the tape on the line. Then I could just add my nails where my marks were. Although I planned arrangements on the floor, I did make several changes as I added items to the walls. I came up with a simple idea I think will fix the worn edges of my antique rug. I ordered some navy blue braided trim from Amazon, and I'm just going to hot glue it along the edges. The trim will hide the worn spots, and the hot glue should reinforce the edges and keep them from further fraying. I trimmed off the loose threads, and I think this really gave the rug a fresh look. And now for the fun part, the finishing touches. I ordered these small metallic animals from Temu, and I had an idea for using them in the bathroom. I grabbed 3 small magnets, these are from Walmart, and I glued an animal to each magnet. I used Gorilla Glue Super Glue, but most any adhesive would work. Once the glue was dry, I popped them on the door hinges. I think this will be a fun surprise for guests who use this bathroom. I'm adding previously thrifted items to this small wall shelf. I think I'll really enjoy changing out the shelf for the seasons. I also took a few minutes to clean the glass on all the frames and make sure everything was level. Since this room is so dark and there is only one outlet, I purchased a cordless rechargeable lamp from Amazon. You might have noticed this brass match holder in last week's video. It's the perfect size to use as a vase next to the small lamp. And every room needs a clock, even if it doesn't work. When there are so many cute dishes at the thrift store that you can use in place of a traditional soap dish or drinking glass, why would you want to pay retail prices for something generic? Last week, I decorated my bar cabinet for spring, but this week I decided to put the mirror back in the large vintage gold frame and use it in place of the smaller black mirror that I had been using in the bathroom. I also brought in an unusual wood chair that I thrifted for just $5 and styled it with a thrifted basket and blue towels. And that should do it. So now for the final reveal. And in case you forgot what the bathroom looked like before, here are some side-by-side comparisons. I hope you enjoyed this bathroom makeover, and I'd love it if you'd let me know what change was your favorite. Thanks so much for watching. Hope to see you next week.